Welcome to another edition of the Errol Jones Show. You are in the presence of a very special guest that we have on to this evening or today, and I'm going to introduce you to him. This show is segment is what we would entitle "Let's Talk Business." It's where we bring in entrepreneurs and business people from the community to come on and talk about what it is that they do. And so this gentleman, who I have been back and forth in interchanging conversation, discussions, and sometimes contentious discussions, which is good because we're two grown men who think, and that's what we want to make available to our community, a platform where grown people, can come together and think and can disagree and can keep moving. And it's been a few years now since Doug and I have been talking about these opportunities to talk to you about that. Again, his name is Doug Houston. You can email him. Make sure you get the email address. We're going to repeat it a couple of times. ddhouston47@gmail.com. And you can find him at Douglas D. Houston on Facebook. Get in touch, make a connection. Hey, now I want to present to you Mr. Douglas Houston. What's up, Doug?
Just life in the past land, Errol. How you been getting along?
I have been doing fine. I'm excited about what we're doing, and I'm glad that you are historically one of our first for the new year to be interviewed on our show.
Oh, thank you. I am thrilled to be here. Thrilled that you would have set this up.
It won't be the last time. You know, we're doing something long term, and I'm going to ask you about that long term stuff later on in this discussion. To our listeners who are online right now listening, here's how this brief introduction is going to go. I'm going to talk about who. Well, in fact, I talked about it a little bit, but now we're going to let Mr. Houston talk about himself a little bit. Who, and then we're going to go to the what. What is he talking about? What is he doing? What's he trying to accomplish? And where? This is a basic interview. Who, what, where, and then when. Remember, I mentioned to you the now and the future. So we're going to talk about the now, but we're going to be focused on the future, and we're going to be talking about the future and focused on the now. And then how is that going to happen? And then finally, why? By the time we get through all that, you guys will probably be ready to take a nap. So let's get started. This is Mr. Doug Houston. Doug, tell us about yourself.
I am a Texas boy, raised in Houston, Texas. Left there in '71 to go to the University of Southern California, played football and academics. Came back home because I had a cracked ankle and went to North Texas State studying accounting. I am an oil and gas accountant with over 40 years experience. Almost 50 years. I have been a project manager for over 45 years.
Okay.
And I've done everything from remodeling my bathroom to bringing in uranium deals in Canada back in the late 70s, early 80s. I worked on a $3 billion uranium deal up there for Mexico Oil, and I was the charge accountant and the company rep. That's how I started out.
So are you saying on this who question, are you telling us that you know a little bit about what you're talking about?
That's what I'm trying to get across. Yeah.
That's a wealth of experience. It really is. So what is it that you're trying to do?
Right now, this is a once in a lifetime offer that I am making, because most of my working life, when I was in oil and gas and doing oil and gas deals for white folk, I was always told by brothers that you never bring anything to us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we always, you always talking to white guys when it comes down to doing oil and gas deals. Well, that's true. And the reason why I was always talking to them, because they think differently than we do. And I'm sorry if I offend anybody in your audience, but it's the truth. We're more risk averse than they are because our capital is hard to come by. They, on the other hand, have access to capital that we don't have. and they are more risk takers. They can perceive a situation. They may not have it concrete, but they can take the abstract and in their mind develop it into the concrete, and then they can invest on it. We, on the other hand, cannot take the abstract like that because our capital is too hard to come by. And that's, I'm not trying to put the brothers down. I'm just pointing out the facts of the difference between.
Hey, there's a thing about being normative and being descriptive, and you're just describing a perspective. And sometimes our folks will get all upset about that, but the real is the real, and you need to deal with it, you know?
Yeah, and I have been around risk takers since I was 20 years old because I was in the oil and gas business. So I was trained by the president of an intermediate oil company because he was trying to develop it into one of the eighth sister in the Seven Sister Group. And we came very close. But the president of the company and the chairman of the board, they got at loggerheads and blew the company up. But right at the point of bringing in a $3 billion uranium mine in Canada. So I've been around this stuff from that point on. I've done land work on oil deals in Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana. I've seen this stuff since I was in my early 20s to today. The thing that I wanted to talk to your people about is that I've got a once-in-a-lifetime offer. We have never had an opportunity as a people to do this. And that's just the truth. We were cut out by white folks. They never intended to let us in on this deal. But what has happened when I spent 9 weeks in the country of Niger, which is one of the largest countries in Africa in the world. The Niger government, which is a government made up of generals and a few civil servants, kicked the French out in 2022. And they kicked the French out. They put their president under house arrest. He's still under house arrest, as a matter of fact. And they kicked the Chinese out. They kicked everybody out because the people weren't benefiting. And I don't know if anybody in your, listening to us or that will listen to us has ever been to Niger, but it's the richest, poorest country I've ever been in, period. They have more resources, more gold, more uranium, more oil than any country I've ever been in. And they have nothing to show for it. Nothing to show for it. The French did a job on them. The French colonials were second only to the Belgians when it came down to how they treated black people in Africa.
So you're let me ask you this about us, because you mentioned something before I forget this question on the opportunity. It leads right into the where. You're talking about developing something that's international, dealing with Niger and any other African countries and America. So this is an international opportunity.
This is an international opportunity. This has nothing to do with what's going on in America.
Why does somebody want to be invested in Africa? Let me just ask the question for somebody else who may be asking.
Well, everybody's investing in Africa. There's a Houston company right now that just bought a $1 billion reserve oil field in Niger, in Houston. Okay, now oil and gas is not a tricky game. It's very scientific, a lot of engineering that goes into it. But the reason why people are investing in that sector is because it's one of the largest sectors outside of Saudi Arabia in the world. They only have estimates on the reserves, plus the fact there's a lot of wealth there. You can invest in Africa in this particular play much easier than you can in America. The kind of money that I'm talking about making off of this play, you'd have to have millions of dollars to invest in a play like this in this country right now. I am asking for anywhere from $500,000, $1.5 million to $150,000. I'll give a quarter of a point on $150,000, it will return to you over the next 10 years $1.5 billion, $1.5 billion.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's something that we don't get in on.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about Rockefeller late 1800s kind of wealth.
So that sounds like something I know in our community that a group of people could get together and take advantage of if the single person didn't have the resources or the wherewithal to do it himself.
You know, I would accept that if it came from the brothers. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be really frank with you.
Mm-hmm.
If I have to take this to the white community, which I can do because I'm known there and I know oil and gas companies that want to get in on the Niger play, it's going to cost them $3 million to get what I'm offering for $150,000. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I was speaking.
The only reason why I'm making it so cheap. Because people will say, "Well, that sounds too good to be true. It's not true." No, that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I need a quick cash infusion.
Mm-hmm.
So I am going to allow. I came to the brothers to say, put up $150,000. I need that cash. I've got $10 million once I get everything done at my disposal offshore.
Right.
But I'm short by $150,000.
Right.
So I said, okay, let me go to the brothers. This is their chance to make some money. And and it is. I can send you over maps, Errol, to put with this interview, that I can show you the oil fields that are available, and it's the whole country.
Well, you can send it to some folks if they email you at ddhouston47@gmail.com.
Yes, Delta Houston 47 at gmail.com.
Right.
I'll send you the maps. I'll show you the field.
Mm-hmm.
I'll show you the most valuable field in Niger, which is I'm not gonna talk about it over the radio,
right?
Because it is being kept for me. But if I can't do anything with it, believe me, there's a company in Houston out in the Woodlands who has already captured a field called Belima.
Mm-hmm.
Belima has 6 billion barrels of oil reserves. This one has 3 times that many at estimates so far. But my point is this is wealth in perpetuity. We very seldom get a chance to play in this game. It is one of those things, an oil sector opened up to us, even when Nigeria opened its oil sector up, they did not open it up to African Americans. They did not ask African Americans to put up one dime in any of the development of Nigeria's oil. I am, on the other hand, seeking help of $150,000 or more. I really need $300,000, but I'll take $150 minimum to help me with some incidentals that have to be paid out of pocket because I am a little bit tapped out of money. The problem is, as you know, I told you I've been in a hospital for a month where I should have been raising money. I was flat on my back fighting for my life. Well, now that I'm up, I still need the money, but I need to move. And I'm opening up this opportunity. It's once in a lifetime. This doesn't come out. This is really bigger than once in a lifetime. So once in a generation do we really have an opportunity to come in. Africa is opening up to us. When I say us, I say African Americans. The generals in Niger, they kicked out the French. They kicked out the Arabs. They kicked out the Chinese. All of our three, which should be our 3 enemies, just by natural happenstance over the last 400 years, they kicked them all out. The generals have come back and said, if you can develop this field, we'll let you develop the field.
You know what?
I can develop the field.
You have give us that those 2 contact numbers one more time, and then I have 1 or 2 other questions I want to ask you before we bring this to the close.
Okay, you can't call me because I don't take unsolicited calls.
Right.
But my email address is ddhouston47. That's Delta Houston 47 at gmail.com. You send me an email, I'll send you some information. I'll give you my phone number. We can exchange numbers. I will be more than happy to talk to you about what's on the table because it's huge. It's from the east end of Niger to the west end of Niger. Niger is one of the largest countries on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
The whole country is opened up to me and a group of people that I put together.
Well, that takes us from that where question. We're talking about where this is happening. So we're talking about some things to be able to be invested in the homeland, the motherland, Africa. On these two things here, can you give us a really brief description of the urgency of the now in relationship to what you're talking about, and the relevance of the future in relationship to what you're talking about? Just briefly touch on that for us.
Yeah, I can. The urgency of the now is right now. It is one of those things that I've got to pull together within the next 4 to 6 weeks. I've only got enough time to get back on my feet. The oil and energy ministry of Niger is giving me a little time since I've been ill to finish this. And if I can't finish it, they're going to give it to some white guys.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to give it to some white guys. There are white people from America standing in line to take my place.
Well,
the only thing that's keeping that from happening is the minister that consults the president is a guy about my age. I mean, we have similar experiences. We have similar everything, although he was born and raised in Niger. He's well educated. He's an engineer. He's probably one of the most honest men you're probably going to run into in the country. But his thing is trying to get his country away from the Europeans.
Mm-hmm.
Africa is desperate to move Africa out of the hands of two people. And there should be a third, but they're not as anxious to do the third. The European and the Chinese.
Mm-hmm.
Neither one of them have served Africa well.
Mm-hmm.
This is the only reason why the general kicked everybody out. This is the only reason why it asked me to come in. Only reason why this opportunity is open. I just ran out of cash.
Well, you know,
cash, you can make $1.5 billion.
There's an urgency, and then there's the relevance of the future if you want to be involved in things. And I think I heard something that said the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time to plant it is today. So, you know, that's dealing with the future. And so, I mean, that's really good. I'm glad you're bringing this to us as an investment opportunity. Our people need to listen to this, at least be aware of it. If you know I'm speaking to our audience, if you know people who may be interested, share this. Our salvation is going to come in sharing our information. We're on the web. So if we make it a point to share with other people who may be so like-minded and so motivated, then we will cover a lot of earth because of the value of the internet. Doug, on your way out of here, man, your closing words, why are you doing these things?
I have a love for Black people. I did not want to do Africa at my age. I think I told you this. Africa was not on my radar. Things have fallen into place to where now I'm one of the biggest promoters of African Americans developing Africa. And we need to develop. It's our homeland, okay? We need to develop or be in on the development of Africa, housing, oil and gas. I've got 2 other countries that are offering me an opportunity to come in and help them develop their oil sector. And they all have tremendous amounts of oil reserves. Before I allow the white guys, the 7 sisters or the 5 sisters as it is, to just take it, I'm going to do everything I can to raise the money for it. I may have to split this. I can take this right now and split it with some white guys, which I may have to do. But before I do that, I'd rather raise that $150,000 and give the brothers a 0.25% interest in this play of what I'm trying to do in Teneros than to go to them, because I know I'm gonna have to fight 2 things. I'm gonna have to fight their greed. I'm gonna have to fight once they get involved, they're gonna want to take it over.
Well, you know, you just said something. The key word there that people need to understand: a lot of this, you're not going to avoid it, but there's going to be a fight. Period. If you're going to be successful, you're going to have to fight through your slothfulness. You're going to have to fight through some of your doubts, some of your fears. You're going to have to fight through a lot of things. And you know, I hear people constantly talking about Trump this, Trump that, Trump the other. I'm not concerned so much about Trump. I'm concerned about what we are going to do. Now, this man just told you and myself and others about opportunities in Africa. He travels, you know, he's a globe trotter. He's back and forth to Africa on more than one occasion a year, you know. So Doug Houston, I want you guys to give him a call, another call, but DD Houston 47 at
gmail.com.
Right. And the one more time, the
Facebook, Douglas D. Houston on Facebook. There are 3 Douglas Houstons, but Douglas D. Houston is me. And I always post, as Earl can tell you, I always post. I post every week. So if you go to one that hasn't posted in a year or two, that's not me.
Right.
I'm posting every week. I'm posting on something political. I do not use Facebook to say hello.
Right.
I use Facebook to inform people and to give my opinion and to help shape direction. As Earl can tell you, it may not be the one you want to do, but it opens up the discussion.
That's right. That's what needs to happen. It needs to be open discussion. And Doug is already aware of some things that I'm doing, been aware of it. He's been watching, and I've invited him. We're going to finalize some things to be one of our advisors at the level of, I thought at first, a council member. Remember, we're starting the Black Community Government is not an overthrow of the government. It's a think tank where we come together and figure out, okay, what he just told you about Niger and about the oil and gas opportunities. Now, me, from my standpoint, would be to get together with like-minded people and start thinking about how do we take advantage of this if we want to take advantage of it. And so that's what the purpose of this show is. That's what the purpose of my Facebook page is, to inspire discussion, conversation. And anybody that knows me, you know, sometimes we'll be into a contentious discussion that has nothing to do with dislike for an individual. It just has something to do with intellectual discussion. Simple as that, you know. So, Doug, thank you, man.
I will make a way for anybody that says they come out of this conversation, they got this from you. I will make a way for at least 10 people to take advantage of this situation. We may have to reshape some things, but you will still make over $1 billion your family will make over $1 billion over the next 20 years. I can guarantee.
That's that future. Hey, so you heard him say that. I didn't know my name would be thrown in there like that I could benefit like that. So I want to encourage each one of you, help a brother out, pass it on to somebody who can do something with it. Doug, man, we're out of here, man. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Earl. You know I appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll do it again. We sure will.
Let's do it again.
Yeah, we will. Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. Talk to you later.